Cad's podcast. I see we're starting as we mean to go on. I'm joined by Austin tonight, who's going to be with us for the duration. It's going to be a quick one tonight because we're just talking about a pre-season match. Not a lot has happened. There's just been one signing and one departure from the club. But let's everybody say hello to Austin. Hello, Austin.
Hello, everybody. I'm Stuart.
How you doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Enjoying the hot weather. It's for those of you that don't know, I'm just outside Paris. The weather's been good for the Olympics. We had rain overnight and sunshine during the day, so it's been okay for me today.
We've had a glorious day here. It's been my best day for my solar panels for about 4 weeks.
Excellent. You got one of those little things that gives you the ticker and everything and tells you.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, okay. Very nice. But I think everybody is here for the Spurs discussion. So let's hope that goes well. Let's very quickly talk about the match. I watched the whole thing. Little story to tell. I somehow got the time slightly wrong. So I was actually up 12 hours in advance for this one. Yeah, I set an alarm and woke up. And my wife was like, just go back to sleep. And I was like, no, I've got to go downstairs and watch the match. So I went downstairs.
And you've got young kids.
Yeah, but they were well asleep. I went downstairs, prepared myself a pizza, got my drink out, ready to go, turned on Spurs play, and it went, your game will kick off in 12 hours. I was like, no. Oh, I've got a pizza now. I guess I've got to eat it. So, yeah, that was fun. I hope
you have a glass of wine as well.
Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, so that was fun. But then I did actually get down to sit and watch the entire match against Vissel Kobe later on, 12 hours later. But no pizza that time, sadly. But hey, it's fine. What did you think of the highlights you saw?
Well, I didn't see the game because my mate has got a shop in Richmond, and he asked me if I'd run it for the morning.
Right.
And so I was in his shop, running the shop till 1 o'clock yesterday. So I did see the highlights. I thought one aspect I got was it looked like a training match because they looked like they were playing at slow pace. But some of our football, I thought, was absolutely superb. Some of the one-touch football, particularly from Gray and Bergvall and Donnelly and Mikey Moore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our youngsters absolutely really looked very, very good indeed. Kulusevski, I thought, looked excellent as well. When Spence came on, I thought he looked absolutely first rate as well. I'm really impressed with Jed Spence in this tour or in this sort of pre-season. I'm actually excited, Stu. I don't know about you.
I'm relatively happy. I think I would prefer to see a number 9 come into the club, and I think there's still players to move out. I mean, we've talked about this on the forum all week. What positions do you think you need? And we've talked about it here as well. So I don't really want to get too far into that, but I think it's a difficult summer, right? We've played the Euros, the Copa America's happened, and our senior players, and also senior players who are likely to come in and play for us, are still likely to be on holiday. I mean, Big Vlad's only just actually rejoined us. So, you know, the Dragosin has only just rejoined the guys in Korea. And he played in the Euros. Obviously, he went out a little bit earlier than some of the others. Vicario as well. So Vicario, I think, actually cut his holiday short so he could come back early.
Yeah.
But people keep saying, oh, we haven't signed players. We haven't signed the players that Ange wants. Those players are probably still on holiday right now. So they probably don't want to have their holiday disrupted by transfer discussions and things like that because they're on a very nice wage already. They know it's going to get worked out before the transfer window closes. And they're going to be fit. They'll be fine. They've just come off the back of an international competition. So all of this moaning and groaning about Ange hasn't got the players he wanted. Ange seems perfectly happy, frankly.
There's only one player I think we really need, and that's the centre forward. I mean, I think our defensive situation is pretty good. We've got 3 good centre halves. Archie Gray has played at centre half and has, in my opinion, looked very, very good. But he can also play at fullback, and he can also play midfield defensive, midfield attacking. Bergvall, again, midfield. Archie Gray can play wide. Mikey Moore can play wide. Jamie Donnelly can play wide. I think our youngsters are providing us with a lack of need to sign extra players, although we're in for Chiesa by all accounts, and it sounds like he might be nearly done. I thought we were going to sign Eze, but I'm not sure about that because I now believe City are in for him. But I think the really only player we need is a proper centre forward, like either in my book Solanke, who I really like, or a Brentford lad, Tony.
Yeah, Tony doesn't pass the sniff test for me. We've spoken so many times, and Andrew's spoken so many times about having to make sure that the players have the right attitude at the club. And I like Tony as a striker. I think he's a really good player. And
as a player, yes, but as a person, I'm not sure.
As a person, I don't think he fits the requirement of what Andrew's looking for. He says he wants someone to come in who's going to take the club seriously, who's going to prioritise the club above pretty much anything else and give their best and give their all. Now, I'm sure Tony would give his best and give his all, but I'm not sure that he wouldn't be looking and saying, if I have a couple of good years here, I could be on my way somewhere else. Because he seems like that kind of guy.
Now, so 2 years makes him, he's coming up to 30.
Yeah.
So who would want someone like that at nearly 30? Apart from Bayern Munich.
I was going to say, somebody did just buy a £100 million euro striker just last summer. But yeah, I mean, for me, I don't want a player who has been at a club, been backed by that club throughout his betting troubles and all the issues he had. And then as soon as he gets back, he gives an interview saying, oh, yeah, well, the summer's coming up and I wouldn't mind a transfer, and Liverpool are my club, but I'd happily go to Arsenal. He's talked about so many clubs. Liverpool are the club that I support. I'd really like to go to Arsenal. And now it's like, oh, Tottenham would do. I don't want a player who says Tottenham will do. I want a player who says, I want to go to Tottenham. They're the club for me. So
I agree completely.
That's my thing. I think there are other strikers out there who are really good. And again, Ivan Toney is a better striker than I could ever dream of being. So part of it is probably like slight amounts of jealousy because I'd love to have been a professional footballer, but too fat and completely lacking in any ability. But different story. For me, again, I just want a player who wants to be at Spurs and will give everything they have for Spurs to try and make it work.
Yeah.
What did Vicario say? I'd have signed in blood. I'd have walked to the club. Now, a lot of that is going to be like, this sounds good in the press, but some of that kind of makes you feel, yeah, okay, that's a guy who's serious. And Vlad Dragusin turned down Bayern Munich. He turned down a new offer at his current club or his previous club, and chose to come to us over a Champions League side, over a side that had a very good chance of winning the league. And he chose to come to us. That's the kind of guy I want at the club.
Yeah. Well, Bergvall, he had an opportunity to go to Barcelona and he came to us.
That's slightly
really
different.
Like him.
Oh, I do like him. But I think he was told, you come here, you'll be in the first team. He was told, you go to Barcelona, you'll be in their B team.
Yeah.
Because they haven't got the money to register him, by the sound of it. They're still struggling with financial issues.
Right.
Hence why they're trying to sell Rafinha and numerous other players and Vissel Kobe, and yeah, they've got financial problems as always recently with Barcelona. But let's talk Bergvall. How good is this kid?
We've signed two players, Stuart. Archie Gray, Bergvall.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they are both phenomenal. You're too young, but I remember Archie Gray's granddad and his great uncle Eddie Gray.
I'm definitely a bit too young for that. Yeah.
But they were both such good football. Eddie Gray was great. I mean, he was up there with George Best. And there are things that Archie Gray does that remind me of his granddad, of his great uncle rather, because Eddie was a better player than Frankie. Frankie was a defender. But they were both very, very good players. They were both Scottish internationals. But I saw something on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, and it was about Archie Gray, and someone said, it's hardly worthwhile pressing him because he just beats you.
Yeah.
And he receives the ball and he turns, and Bergvall is the same. He receives the ball and he turns, and they have this ability to beat the press. And I just think in terms of the way Ange plays, and they're both 18, they are going to be absolutely phenomenal when they're a year or two older. They're phenomenal now. But I think we've got the makings of a fantastic team. We've got the Manchester United of 1992-93 with their youngsters, because Mikey Moore's there, Donnelly's there, young centre forwards there.
There's something about Mikey Moore just makes me go, wow. I really. Well, yeah.
I look at him and I hate to say it, but I'm reminded of Gaza, because he just has this ability to go past people.
I'm reminded of Waddle. I look at him and I see like shades of Waddle, and I go, yeah, I like the way he just glides past people. He's got such good control, and it's like, it's little touches that puts the guy off balance, and he's just boom, he's past him. And he doesn't look quick, but he's got decent speed across the ground. You know, he doesn't look bulky, but have you seen him knocked over?
No.
Right.
I was one match away from playing against Chris Waddle, by the way.
Oh, really?
Well, I played in the FA Cup going back into the 70s, late 70s.
Right.
And Chris Waddle in those days was playing for Townlaw Town. And if we'd won a cup preliminary game, we'd have played against Townlaw, and he was playing for them. I don't know whether he actually played in the game, but we lost our game, and so I didn't get the chance.
I think Townlaw was after he left Torquay, because I know he was at Torquay for a bit. Not long, but yeah.
Oh, Townlaw was before he joined Newcastle.
Was it? Oh, that was the... Didn't he go back to Townlaw at the end, though?
He played for Newcastle, he played for us, he played for Marseille, then he played for Sheffield Wednesday,
Bradford.
Burnley?
Bradford, I think, not Burnley.
Bradford he played for, yeah.
Yeah, I think then he went to
what a fabulous player.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he played alongside the great Neville Southall, but yeah, what a good player. But I mean, just comparing Mikey Moore to him for me is like, that's a good player. I just watch Mikey Moore play football. I mean, I remember watching him when he was playing in the Youth Cup final against Nottingham Forest, and I thought, like, the first 5 minutes, he had 2 touches. I was like, yeah, that guy's going to go far, because his ability on the ball. He just touched the ball, just the way he received the ball on the turn, head up, and you're like, yeah, okay, that's a player. There's something about him, and he's got it. He really does.
Oh, but he has. And he's 16, as well. For goodness sake.
I know. It's scary, isn't it? Bergvall as well, same kind of thing. In fact, I think Bergvall's got more of an aura about him. Bergvall's got this shine that you go, whoa, yeah, he's pretty good. The thing that I find interesting with Bergvall is he just floated everywhere. He was all over the pitch against Vissel Kobe. He was so... Like, he'd pop over on the left, he'd pop up over on the right, he'd come forward, he'd drop back a little bit, and it always seemed to work. I'm sure potentially later on as the season goes on and comes up against smarter players, they'll go, oh yeah, there's a pocket there that's been left unattended, we'll drop into that, and that would be down to him. But if they can make it work between Archie Gray and him and Maddison or Bissouma or Bentancur, yeah, we've got some very, very good players at the club.
And Jed Spence. Jed Spence, in my opinion, has got a physicality and a skill that is probably better than our other right back. Pedro Porro's a good player. I love him.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Jed Spence go on tour with us last season and then basically never featured in the first team? I'm pretty sure he went on tour, looked good, and then it just crumbled after that. I really hope that doesn't happen again.
Yes, so do I, because I've watched him. When I've watched him, I've noticed how competitive he is, how combative he is,
Yeah.
and how physical he is. So he'll put his shoulder against a player and he'll pull the ball away from them totally cleanly. And his speed and his anticipation of reading a situation and getting to the ball before someone else. I think he looks a very, very good player. I did when he was at Forest. I wanted him when he was at Forest before it was said that we were going to sign him. I watched him
had barely heard of him before anyone talked about signing him. When it came up that we might be interested, I sat down and watched a couple of Forest games. But honestly, he hadn't stood out to me. But I don't watch a lot of Championship games anyway. So I mean, I watch games over here in France. I've watched some in Germany and obviously Premier League games. But I hadn't seen anything of him until we were linked, and then I thought I'd take in a couple of things. And he looked impressive then, and you could see why we were buying him. But apparently there's an issue with his timeliness, so he will turn up 5 or 10 minutes late for team meetings and things like that. Now, as someone who does take that kind of stuff, I'm a little bit pernickety when it comes to that. I'm like, I really have to be somewhere on time. If I'm not on time, I feel, oh yeah, there's a feeling in like tightness, and I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like being late. And my wife is completely opposite. My wife's like, 15 minutes late is 5 minutes early as far as she's concerned. And I'm like, no, we've got to be there on time. It's got to the point where I've started lying to my wife about what time we're supposed to be there. I'm like, honey, we're supposed to be there at 2:30. We're supposed to be there at 3. Don't tell her. She won't see this. So, yeah.
I think you're married to one of my daughters, Stuart, because my daughters are like that completely.
One second. I have a little visitor.
Okay.
Hello. Yes, you need to go upstairs. You need to go upstairs. You need to see Mama, okay? Off you go. You can't see him. He's very cute.
Oh.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. If you're watching on YouTube and you have young children, please give me your parenting tips on how to get a 3-year-old to go to bed on sleep first time, because that would be great. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Stake through the heart's the only way, Stu.
Stake through the heart.
Yeah.
The only thing I found, if I go and lay down with him for an hour and a half, he will go to sleep. But I have to be there for like an hour and a half, and nobody's got time for that in this world, I'm sure. But hey, so where were we? The young players coming through. Jed Spence. I take punctuality, timeliness very, very seriously. It's it's almost a personal failing of mine, frankly. But if I was working with someone and they were supposed to be somewhere at 11 o'clock and they turned up at 10 past 11, I wouldn't be very happy with that. So I get where Andrew's coming from on that. But he's also been out in Italy, and in Italy, you know, the football clubs, as far as I'm understanding, are very, very professional. And I'm sure they're not going to be putting up with people being 10 minutes late to meetings and stuff like that. So I really hope that he gets that out of his system, because I want Jed Spence at Spurs. I think he's a great player. I think he's a fantastic right back. He fits what we need. He's a right-sided Udogie as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. You know, he's got that ability to dominate the right-hand side. He's got that ability to go up and down. He's got, you know, the capacity to go. Maybe his defending's not as good as his attacking, but he can get past people. He can put the ball into dangerous areas in slightly different ways to Porro. Porro will make his way into the box a little bit more, as we saw with his goal from Vissel Kobe. But he is really, really good, and I want to see more. And I want to see more, and I want to see him doing it at the club. Because if he goes somewhere else, and he has got it right, we're going to be looking back and we're going to be regretting this, frankly.
Yeah.
You know.
No, with you all the way.
Yeah. And I want Genoa fans to be looking back in 2 years' time and pulling their hair out and say, why didn't we buy him for the 6.5 million that he was available for?
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want it to be his Bale to Nottingham Forest moment, because apparently Redknapp was willing to sell Bale to Nottingham Forest.
Yes.
But let's move on. Mikey Moore came on, scored another goal. That was fresh off the back of scoring 2 goals 2 days before against a younger Japanese side.
Yeah.
Where does this guy stand in your rankings now? In terms of, let's say he's going to be on the right side. I know he spent a lot of time on the left for the youth, but let's say he's on the right side because I think there's a bit more competition for the left.
I think he's got to be in the squad, Stu. I mean, Brennan Johnson, who I really rate, I think his finishing is superb and his crossing is superb. But Mikey Moore has the ability to go past people.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of anyone else in the club that can go past people like he does, although Kulusevski does go past people quite frequently. And he's someone I want to talk about very briefly as well.
Yeah, me too.
I just think Mikey Moore at 16 should be in the first team squad. I don't want him loaned out to anyone. I want him in the squad because I think that would be, there'll be 2 sides to that. One, it would show the youth that they can actually come in and make it because there are other young players that will come through from the current youth team. Also, I think he's unique in terms of how he plays. I think he's got skills that will complement the team. And I think, when you're drawing 2-2 after 80 minutes of a game, you bring Mikey Moore on. He's the sort of player that will do something that will get you the winner.
Yeah, but for you right now, is he ahead of Solomon?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. Is he ahead of Timo Werner?
No.
Yeah, me too. That's. I think that's the roadblock. That's where we come up to the point of this kid's good, but exactly how good is he? I think Timo Werner's a potential starter.
There's a caveat, Stuart, in that Timo Werner has got pace and he gets down the left and he crosses the ball. And we saw crosses come in last year, and Johnson scored crosses from Werner, as I think did Son.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Mikey Moore in that situation. So Werner is ahead in terms of the fact that he's already done it. Mikey Moore, I believe, will do it, but hasn't done it yet. I think he will do it. I think he will do it. I think if he gets the opportunity, he will do it. And we can let Werner go because he's on loan, although I actually quite like the guy and I'd be quite happy to sign him. But Mikey Moore is homegrown. He's cost us nothing apart from development costs. And I genuinely think I hate to say it, I think we've got 3 generational talents. I think we've got Bergvall. We've got
that term
Gray. Generational
talent just makes can you have 3 generational talents? There's 1 in a generation. We've got 3 of them.
Well, I think we have. I think we've got the most exciting bunch of young players coming through that we've ever had.
That you may be right. I can't think of a period where we've had more exciting youngsters coming through. And we bought another one today. We bought an 18-year-old Korean, Young Min Hyuk,
but he doesn't join until next year, so it's not worth talking about.
He doesn't join till January, but the bits and pieces I've seen of him, I mean, he's going to be another right wing, left wing option. He's going to be the one that basically says, right, we don't actually need to buy Timo Werner because we've got Young Min Hyuk coming through. So,
he looks sensational. He really does look sensational. But I remember when Glenn Hoddle came through. I remember Glenn Hoddle's first game for Spurs because it was on Match of the Day. I can't remember who it was against, but he was 17, and I looked at him, and I remember saying to my dad, he'll play for England. Because he lobbed the ball over someone's head, took it on his right foot, and passed it out to the wing, and I thought, that's pure talent.
Yeah.
And we've got 3 players with that sort of talent at the moment. And maybe 4, because John Donnelly is very, very good.
Jamie Donnelly, I don't see where he's going to fit into the squad right now. I don't think he's defensively good enough to be backup left back. I don't think he's going to push ahead of Werner or Son or Solomon. as for the left side. I think I mean, he's played centrally before, but I think that's a really congested area of the pitch, and he's not going to get ahead of the players that are there. And I think if you're basing them just on talent and potential, he's not ahead of Mikey Moore either. So I've got to be saying I want to see more from him, but I think he needs to go on a loan somewhere. I know apparently Luton were interested, and I think that would be great for him. So I'd love to see him go somewhere like Luton, where he's going to play regularly at a high level. Because there's something about him that's really good. You know, I think he understands the game very well. He does, yeah.
His passing is, I mean, I've watched a lot of him for the under-21s. And his passing is absolutely sublime. He plays diagonals, he plays reverse passes, and he actually puts the ball into places where people can score.
Yeah.
And that is not something you can teach. It's something that you know. He's got a football brain. And so he is going to succeed. And I think he'll succeed with us. But maybe he will spend a year out on loan before he actually gets in the squad.
Yeah.
But he's also quite physical. I like the fact that he's absolutely happy to put his shoulder in and put his body in and challenge people.
Yeah, he's not shy, is he? He's not going to shirk a challenge. I've seen him throw in a few heavy blocks himself, so he's got that ability to play that really nice pass. And as you said, he does pick out some lovely passes, some reverse passes that you just don't expect to see. And I remember talking to someone quite some time ago, and he told me the hardest thing to judge in football is the through ball. Because you've not only got to see where the space is. Yeah, no, go on.
We'll be back in a second.
All right, no worries. While we're here and we're waiting for Austin to come back, if you're watching on YouTube, please give us a like, give us a follow, leave a comment in the chat below and let us know what it is you want us to talk about next time, because we're going to be here all season. We're going to be talking regularly after each and every match. And we'll be talking about matches, transfers, players that are on their way up or potentially on their way down. And we look forward to hearing what you've got to say as well. And of course, if you think that you'd like to join us on one of these things, maybe we could find a spot for you one day. But now we're waiting for Austin to come back. So, dead air, silence. Okay, while we're here, my thoughts on the game. I thought it was a good game. I enjoyed it. It was a good test for us because Vissel Kobe have been playing their season. They're right in the middle of their season. In fact, they're on a break right now because apparently it's too hot to play football where they are. The team did very, very well. There are a few mistakes, obviously, especially with a young side and young players in there. There are going to be mistakes that happen along the way. But I thought the team did well to stamp their mark on the game and to score 3 goals. 3 actually very, very nice goals. Are you back with us, Austin?
I'm with you.
Excellent. Okay. So we've talked Donnelly, we've talked Mikey Moore, we've talked Bergvall. Let's talk Archie Gray for a bit. I know we did talk about him very, very quickly. But is there a position on the field this guy can't play?
No.
No? I'm almost interested to try him out in goal because he looks like he might be able to do quite well there. He's tall.
He's played centre-half for us. 3 games. He's never played centre-half before. He's played right-back and he's played centre midfield.
But he started
his ideal position, according to him, is box-to-box.
Yeah.
But he just looks like one of those naturally gifted footballers who's physically quite strong. His recovery is very good because I've seen him lose the ball and then win the ball straight back.
Yeah. We saw that against Vissel Kobe. Yeah.
Yeah. His passing intelligence is very, very good. He moves the ball quickly. He can play with either foot. I hate the little bugger. It makes me look like a great lump.
I'd hate to play against him because I get the feeling he'd embarrass the hell out of me. There was a thing I was watching. There was an awards dinner and they were asking the players on their way through, is like, who's the best young player in the championship? Every single one of them said Archie Gray. Every single one of them. So, it says something when you're professional.
He's a really nice guy.
Yeah. Have you heard the story? He's had to be told by the Spurs training staff, to stop picking up the cones and things because he's still going around and picking up the cones after training, and they're like, no, we've got people for that. you're a 50 million euro Premier League player, you don't need to be doing that. But he still does it. Like the last training video right at the end, he's going there, he's picking up cones and bits and pieces from the training kit. I love that kid, he's great.
He comes over as very humble. Yeah. And just very, very grounded.
There's a story going around that, when he first heard about the interest at Spurs, he's like, my dad came to my room and told me, you've got to sign for Spurs. So I'm like, hang on. That sounds very much like he was still living with his parents.
Yeah.
This guy's worth 50 million. Had all the money to go and get a nice little apartment in the centre of Leeds where he could go out and have some fun with the girls and stuff like that. But no. Good lad, stayed at home, kept his room. He must be racking up the money. Oh, dear. Not that people from Leeds are tight, I'm sure. But, yeah.
What's the saying about you bloody Yorkshireman, Stu? You can't say things like that about us, lads.
I wouldn't dare. Okay.
I'm not a Yorkshireman anyway, but I just happen to live in the county.
Yeah, you live there, so you're kind of honorary. You've been there long enough now.
And my grandfather played cricket for the county once. It has to be said,
really?
So.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Sorry. him and Jeffrey Boycott were like that.
Oh dear, I'm not sure that's a good thing to be saying, but still. Okay, looking forward, we've got a few more games. We've got the K-League All-Stars next, and then we've got Bayern Munich for the first time, and then Bayern Munich for the second time. So we've got 3 more preseason games. There's probably going to be one more behind the curtains, unseen friendly that they keep on sliding in there, probably for the youth. But then we're getting on to Leicester. How do we feel about the start of the season at the moment?
I actually haven't a clue, because until we actually see what we think is going to be the first team, I genuinely don't know. But I've looked at the way we've played. I've looked at the style we've played. I've looked at the way that the youngsters have integrated. And I think we're going to end up with the first team with a good spattering of youth players in.
Yeah.
And they're all extraordinarily talented. And they all seem to play with a freedom as well. Gray, Donnelly, Bergvall and Moore all play with a freedom. It's like they haven't got any negatives. They haven't got any, what if I do this? None of them play with a what if it goes wrong attitude.
The freedom of youth, hey? Yeah.
Plus the players that we've got like Bissouma and Kulusevski.
Yeah.
Kulusevski's played 3 balls in these matches where he's reversed the ball, backheeled the ball. He's been absolutely sensational in my opinion. So he's up there. Son is playing well. Vicario played his first game today, but he looks good. But the reserves also look good. Udogie, have we seen Udogie? I can't remember.
Not yet.
Have we?
Not yet. He's still not fully training, apparently.
Yeah. But the team looks in very good nick, and they look like they're playing with a freedom, and I'm optimistic. But I think you could speak to me at this time of every season, and I'd say I'm optimistic.
We're always optimistic.
Yes, I know. I'm Oz the optimist.
Oz the optimist.
But
absolutely.
I'm actually genuinely optimistic at the moment, because I think we've got a plethora of talent that we haven't had for. Well, I think we've got a more talented squad now than we've had since 1962.
Whoa. Okay.
I think we've got young players in with skill. The 80s team was good with Archibald and Crooks and Ricky Vere and Ozzy and Glenn and Clive Allen. Um, but I think we've got a squad with more raw talent than we've had for 60 years.
Okay, I hope you are right on that, because that's it. That is something indeed.
Well, then it's
let's
a question
quickly
to translate to on pitch performances.
Yeah.
So
let's quickly talk Kulusevski. I think Kulusevski is a fantastic player. I mean, there are two players who I just think, two older players, senior players, that I look at them and go, God, such fantastic players. Kulusevski, Bentancur. Now, Bentancur...
And you say senior, but Kulusevski's only 24.
24, yeah. But he's been a senior member of the squad since he came in. Bentancur, I think there are potentially issues. I would not be surprised if he goes out on loan to try and let the water smooth over some of his comments and the stuff that's been going on.
You mean?
Yeah, they all look the same. Him or his cousins, they all look the same. That people, I do not appreciate that. I'll be honest. I didn't think that was a good move. I would not be surprised to see him go out on loan to try and dial in that fitness. Make sure that is absolutely sorted for next season, because he's still young. He's still got long enough in his contract to be a force next season, and we've got the midfield cover. We've got the midfield cover to make it work. But Kulusevski, I think Kulusevski could actually be our number 9 for the season ahead. We were doing it at the end of last season, where we were playing him through the centre and he would drop and somebody would make their way through, whether that was Bentancur or whether that was Maddison. They were taking up those positions. But he's really good at linking up the play. He's physical and strong. He's got a fantastic touch. Touch. And when he's in the box, he's actually fairly dangerous compared to some of the other players we've seen. So for me, I would not be surprised to see him actually be our starting number 9 and have that kind of fluid interchange. Not you again. We've got to know he's back. He's back, everybody. Once again, in the comments, if you've got any hints for 3-year-olds. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Harry. Yes, it's... yes, I know. Why don't you take that upstairs and I'll be there in a bit, okay? Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Off you go.
Bye, Harry.
Yeah, night, Harry. Won't be long. So yeah, I think he could actually save us a lot of money, and I'll be honest, I think I'd rather have him at number 9 than Ivan Toney. Even though Ivan Toney's a very different player and would maybe
My
score more
favourite
goals.
number 9 would be Dominic Solanke. I think Solanke is excellent.
Yeah, you're banging that
I love
Solanke
his
track.
pace, I love his finishing, I love his heading ability.
I think his non-penalty XG is actually not great. Same thing with Toney, actually. Toney's non-penalty XG is lower than Richarlison's.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think Richarlison is 0.32, Toney's 0.31. I've got a feeling Solanke's 0.3 or 0.29, something like that. I mean, they're still good numbers. Let's not get it wrong. But also Solanke could do very well in this system. He could score a hatful if he can integrate well and play the way that we need.
Saying that, I'm not sure about Lancashire. I thought the Lancashire wasn't up to it, and said as much about 6 months ago in one or two of the forums. But I actually think he might be. He's touch is very good, and he's got a physicality that I really like. And he's got an ability to score goals, albeit for the under-21s, that I really like. And I think someone that's got the goals touch is worth their weight in gold. So I have a feeling that Lancashire might come through and actually take a centre-forward spot, but I don't know.
He's young enough to not need to be registered in the squad. So we can have him and still buy another striker. That's not an issue. If he comes through, the only thing we'll do is we'll have wasted a load of money on a striker. But if he comes through and scores 25 goals, no one's going to complain. I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think he's quite at that level yet, but he is a very good young player. He's come a long way since joining the club. He seems absolutely determined to score goals, and you can see it. He's always looking to see where the goal is, where the space is. He attacks it, and he will put it away. He's a pretty good finisher. And he's just getting better. He's just getting better, frankly. But we've seen this before with young players coming through the academy, players from the under-21s, and there is a jump. Personally, I think the jump is actually a mental hurdle that people need to get over. So you need to basically get over the idea that you're suddenly playing against first teamers and big burly men. And he's a strong boy. He can do it. He's a big lad. Play that game. I just wonder whether he's got that seasoned strength. Maybe he doesn't quite have the, what's the word I'm looking for? The craftiness that just roll someone and roll them off your hip and create that little yard of space. And I think that's what he's going to learn over the next year or so. And when he gets that, he will be a phenomenal striker. And he's got a lot of time. He signed a contract till 2029. So he's got a lot of time on his hands before there's any real concern over him. But I think he'll be a first teamer next year. I think he'll be a substitute.
Yeah, maybe.
And we'll just see where it goes. But for now, with the squad we've got right now, I think Kulu at 9, with that fluid interchange of the forward players, I think would work very, very nicely.
Yeah,
so that's my hot take for this preseason.
The one player we haven't mentioned yet is Alfie Devine.
Alfie Devine, yeah, he's good, isn't he?
He is, and Gray and Bergvall are getting all the conversation. But Devine looks very, very good as well. His passing, his vision is very good. His short passing is good. His long passing is good. And his immediate thought
is long passing is very good. Long passing is very good. It's got good pace on the ball. It lands in the right place, and you're like, okay, he knows what he's doing there. He's a really good player. Is he being slightly left behind with players like Gray and Bergvall coming in? That is my concern. I think he's adapted his game as well, because when he joined us, he was an attacking midfielder. When he was playing at Port Vale, I think he was an attacking midfielder. When he went to Birmingham, he was an attacking midfielder. But this summer, he's come in and he's been playing deeper. He's been playing like the 6th position, picking it up, knitting those balls in off the central defenders. And he's been really good.
He played that for Plymouth Argyle. He was playing much deeper for Plymouth Argyle, and he was picking
towards
the
the end of the season. Yeah, when they changed manager, he was doing that. But earlier on, with Ian Foster, he was playing further forward. So I think it's interesting to see him make that adaptation to his game. I don't see him as like a hard running box to box guy. Maybe he's a bit more silky than that, I think. But maybe we don't need a 6, because maybe between him and Gray and Bissouma, maybe we've got the 6s that we need. Maybe with Jed Spence and Pedro Porro and Gray, we've got the right backs that we need.
Yeah,
I still think we need a left back. I still think we need an out and out right winger who's going to be a guaranteed first team starter, who's going to scare the bejesus out of anybody that goes near him. And there's still that talk, and there's going to be that talk all the way through to the start of the season about a number 9.
Yeah.
But hey, we'll see how that goes. But yeah,
I'm relaxed at the moment because I think we've got the youth players to fill in most positions. I think that Ange knows what he wants, and I'm pretty sure that Ange will get what he wants. I don't follow all the bloody gossip columns because they drive me up the wall, because we've had them for years and years and years. And about 10% of what they talk about comes off. So I look at what we have got and prefer to evaluate that than the potential of what we might get.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that Ange will get what he wants in terms of players to fill in the gaps that we've got. But I also think that we've got youth coming through to fill in most of the gaps of what we've got anyway.
Yeah. I do listen to the gossip. I do love a bit of the gossip, but I take it a little bit more seriously, probably too seriously. I keep a spreadsheet. I've got a spreadsheet of all the players we've been linked to since the start of the summer. We've got 39 players on the list who we've been linked to, have not been signed by the club or not been signed by someone else. 39 players still out there that we're looking at, or could be looking at. The vast majority of those are going to be rubbish, frankly. It's going to be a whole load of paper talk, and there'll be very, very little behind it. But there may be a grain of truth or two in there. Archie Gray was on that list. Yang Min Hook was on there as well. So let's see where it takes us. But that's it for now. We'll be back after the K-League All-Stars game.
Very quickly on that one, the two big stars I'd like to sign, Eze and Chiesa.
Chiesa, I don't think Chiesa fits exactly what Andrew said he wants. He said Andrew has previously talked about having a right winger that stays wide and stretches the play. Chiesa comes inside. It's more of an inside forward, or a forward. If we're talking about playing him up front as a number 9, I'm not sure that's what he's been doing for Juventus very much. So that's a bit of a risk. Eze, I think, is a fantastic player. I think Eze's great. But you're talking about, again, putting him in a very congested area of the pitch with Bentancur, Maddison. Those are the players who he's going to be up against, and Bergvall as well. He's going to be ahead of Bergvall. Is he going to be ahead of Maddison? Is he going to come in and accept to be a fill-in player or a rotational player or a sharing... Oh, hello, what happened there? Sharing the role... with another player as a 60-70 million pound player. Is he going to be prepared to do that? I don't think he is.
I see him as being different from Maddison in that he drifts past players when he's running with the ball. I mean, he doesn't run, he floats. He seems to have this ability to ghost past players, which Maddison doesn't have. So I see him as being a similar player to Maddison, but an alternative style of player to Maddison, that will add something in terms of beating players and creating for forwards. Who knows? I don't know.
I think he's a 2 years ago player. We should have bought him 2 years ago. We should have bought him when he was at QPR. We had the opportunity.
I said that at the time.
Yeah, we had the opportunity. We tracked him. We didn't make we decided not to. Same thing with Oliseh when he was at Reading. We tracked him. We had the opportunity. We decided not to. Same thing with Wharton when he was at Blackburn. Yeah. So we either need to trust our scouts and say, right, there's a reason why we didn't sign him at the time. Has he improved that much since then? I don't know. Or we say, okay, there's going to be other players out there that are up and coming and we'll be able to get them on the rise before they're of the level of an Eberechi Eze, who apparently Manchester City are in for, and that would be quite difficult to persuade him to join us over him. But we'll see. Maybe we'll get Jack Grealish finally, because by the sound of it, he may be leaving.
I don't want him now. I don't know where he would fit in.
Well, he'd be drifting around on the left somewhere. So.
Don't get me wrong. I like the guy. I think he's hugely talented, and he's one of those players that I'd get out of bed to watch. But I'm actually not sure that he'd fit into our squad now.
He's the kind of player we would have signed 10 years ago, maybe a bit longer before that. We would have signed that kind of player coming down from a bigger club who hadn't... I'm not going to say he hasn't done anything spectacular there because he's won everything. But he's not really made a position his own. He's not made himself an integral part of that club. So, coming down from that level, he's the kind of player we would have signed before Pochettino, for instance. He's the kind of player we'd have signed under Redknapp. He's the kind of player we'd have signed under AVB. I don't think he's the kind of player we sign nowadays. So,
no, I agree.
Yeah. But I guess we'll see as the summer progresses. There will be plenty more to talk about, plenty more to discuss, and we will be back to discuss it all. If you've got this far into the video, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Give us a like, subscribe, hit that bell, and all of that great stuff. Until the next time, come on, you Spurs.